Mr. Ikeddy Isiguzo joins us now. He's the chairman Editorial Board of Vanguard Newspaper. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Good morning.
Well, this job of ours, thankless, tough, even our lives are put on the line in most cases, but we have to keep going on.
Yeah, well, we have to, and I think it's when people can really see it this way that they know our lives are on the line most of the time. It's a thankless job. Each side finds opportunity to blame you for what is going on, but we have to keep going because we have a huge responsibility. Even as I'm saying it is understated, but that responsibility is ours to carry out, and as things go on, we hope there will be younger people who will still be attracted to the job.
Yeah. Well, yes, indeed, because I mean, they don't get to see this kind of scenario every day.
No, those are things we see in war zones, and most times you see correspondents ruling on the ground and so on, and you say, well, it won't happen in Nigeria. But it's sad that we get to this point over contests of maybe someone wins at most 8 years, the person is gone. And it brings me back to the point that we are not trying to build a nation. We are so short-term. People want to win for 2 days, 4 days, 4 years, 8 years. We are not thinking of this country beyond those number of years. So we've just gone into a seasonal country, if I may put it that way, run by elections. If there are elections, you see people turn up and say all type of things. After 4 years, 8 years, you see hardly anything is done. We're not looking at our country as a country. It's just an election-driven country, as it were.
Well, you have been observing things, events as they have been unfolding. Violence is one of the things that's been topmost concern to a lot of observers, to even participants, people who were participating in this polls, as it were. Do you think they were making progress on that particular front, in spite of all the pacts that we've been signing?
I think we left the issue of violence for too long. It got to a point that it appeared it was legitimate for people to prepare for the elections. It's good that Colonel Derek cleared what he meant by people looking after themselves. The state appears consistently not to be able to protect people, whether you're on the street or in your house and so on. So the surprise is that people also expect because there's a rally, people will be protected. You're in your house, you're not protected. You're on the street, you're not protected. So this issue of protecting people should be something done, taken for granted. People are protected. Then when you have people gathering for rallies or so on, you heighten the security. But we see a situation where you're talking of, it had been said that any gathering in Okrika could be violent. So did we see indications that the security prepared for this? So that's one issue. It has happened here. There are also other places it had happened. It's just that there was a lot of attention in Okrika. The violence has been going on, pockets of violence, starting from the primaries. People within their own parties not agreeing up to the point that they will be violent. Now it's gone to inter-party. You expect it to heighten, but the security should have been prepared for this.
And this is not the voting yet.
It's part of the voting. That's what goes on. No, it's part of the voting. If you're able to intimidate candidates, you also intimidate their voters. Oh, of course, what do you think that was? This man you're trying to follow can't save himself, so how can he save you? It's part of the voting. This election won't be won when people line up. It's going on. Why are people not getting PVCs? Why are PVCs being stolen? INEC is smugly telling us, oh, they've stolen the PVC, they can't do something with it. If I know I can't win in your local government area, I will steal the PVCs there. And your people can't vote. So
you're seeing a deliberate plot.
It is very deliberate. You don't steal something you don't need. Why will you go and take all the risk and maybe pay people to steal it for you? The election is going on. So for INEC to be going the way it is going, talking of percentages, these percentages don't mean anything. How many local government areas within a state has got the PVCs? If a state has maybe 600,000 voters and you're saying you've done this percent on it, on the surface, it looks good. But spread it. Let's see the local governments. Let's see the wards. Why did you tell people go to local governments and collect the PVCs? Anybody saying that does not have a picture of this country. There are local government headquarters that are 100 kilometers from where the people are living. They don't even know the way to the local government headquarters. Who will pay their fares? Are INEC officials there even when they get there? Or you make that journey, you turn up there, you say, oh, your card is not there. And they just tell you this as, even within Lagos that is urbanized, You know how far local governments are from people. Send those cards to the wards where they were registered. You had a budget for that. Governments were busy declaring public holidays, and the cards were not there, nor INEC officials. Even right now, from what we are seeing, the cards are not ready. It's when 2 days ago, you were saying Governor Jang didn't even have a card. Governor of Plateau State. Doesn't he know where to collect cards from?
We need to ask,
Yes,
are we
please.
really ready for this democracy?
INEC was not ready. It's not democracy thing. You see, the Senate is inviting INEC. Where was the Senate committee on INEC? Where was the House of Reps committee on INEC? You know, we have people voted in who are not doing anything. They have oversight function over INEC. They should have been the ones telling us INEC was not ready. And Professor Jega, he has, you know, he talks very well. In 2011, he told us we were ready until the morning of the elections. Is that not what happened? People were accrediting, then he was making a broadcast that we were not ready. If you had done 68% of the distributions up to the time we had a postponement, if you had published this table, you would have seen where those 68% were of the distribution.
But INEC said that we were ready for the elections.
That's why. So why are we distributing cards? Who would have voted on 14th? We didn't vote on 14th, and we are still distributing cards and having problems.
They said it was security. That's why they had
No.
to.
Let me tell you, Chamberlain, there are so many things you say on that security, and you are not saying what you mean. You just find a cover for something. And in real terms, it would have been a major security breakdown. If people turned up and you found out that maybe half the country wasn't voting, what better security, I mean, wouldn't that be a major security breakdown?
Mr. Isiguzo, as at the time the elections were postponed, about 20 million people had not received their permanent voters cards. And there's something, this principle called substantial.
When you talk about that 20 million, it sounds like a low figure. Where were those 20 millions distributed? That's the thing. In which states were those 20 million distributed? In which local government areas? If you did a spread of that, you would have seen why the election could not have held. But looking at this 60-something%, people would think that's a national average. It's not. Some states have less than 1 million voters. If you don't give a card there, you'll be still scoring 90-something%. Do you understand what we are saying? So these percentages do not say anything. Not to cut each other, we even have a bigger problem. This is the first election we are going into without a single registered voter. You know why I'm saying that? Until the point you are voting, the reader says you're a voter, you're not a voter.
I don't understand that.
Until when the card reader recognizes you as a voter, you are not. So we don't have any registered voter today.
No, but there's a voter register.
So if he doesn't recognize you, what happens?
Is that not the basis upon which
No.
your
If
PVC?
he doesn't recognize you, you vote.
Wait, we have, before you get,
You have a piece of paper.
the PVC, before you even get the PVC.
Yeah, it is. That's the paper.
It's authenticated with the
Absolutely.
register.
But when you want to vote, what happens?
Well, I think that INEC will definitely...
No, when you want to vote, what happens? It's the card reader that decides if your card is valid. Is that not what happens?
Yes.
If your card is not valid, what are you?
Can they give you a card that's not valid?
Why can't they give you? Suppose the card reader doesn't read it.
Now, for some reason, I know...
No. Suppose the card reader doesn't read it.
Mr. Isiguzo, I think that your questions are very valid in the sense that these are questions that many people are asking too. The Senate...
That's why the senators want to know if their own cards are valid.
Well, I don't think it's more about them. I think it's more about their supporters and those who want to vote for them. Because but their votes alone will not return them to office. So the question will be, I think that INEC will definitely be sorting that out with the senators, and we'll definitely know what they will come out with that. But I asked that question in terms of, whether or not we're ready for democracy, because people are wondering, if you have to, ideally, this is the INEC chairman at the very top. He has resident electoral commissioners. He has, these people underneath him to ensure that things are going on smoothly, as it were. But when he's looking at things, he's usually looking at the larger picture. So you come up with a figure and say you have distributed about 75% of the voters' card. It looks good on the surface. But now we're not saying, INEC, you just can't say that. You also have to look at the intricacies and our peculiarities.
Yes.
Are we not being a lot more difficult? And here we are. We're also saying that people are stealing. We're thinking that they're politicians stealing voters' cards of places where they think that they might not be able to win. If, according to INEC, they really cannot do much with those cards.
They're doing a lot with the cards. That's why I'm saying INEC can be naive in the way it thinks. We cannot run Nigeria the way we are running it in 1960 and so. Sometimes we tend to think that way. If somebody steals something, he has a use for it. And you're talking of over 1 million cards stolen. That can decide any election, whether it's presidential or so on. The presidential, you get 25%. into third of the states, and then majority. Is that not what it is? Majority is even 1 vote, 2 votes, 3 votes. And you have 1 million cards missing. You think nothing is wrong. That is one aspect. INEC needs to do a lot of voter education. It's not doing it. The question I ask now, you have a voters register, it's there. The almighty card reader decides who has a valid voters card or not. So what happens next? And yesterday it was saying it will arrest those with invalid voters card. What is an invalid voters card?
Do you think the INEC should have brought up a system for scrutiny?
INEC has a lot of money for voter education. Who is it educating? It's not educating people. Because part of that education is these cards have chips in them.
No, the magnetic stripe cards.
Yes, the average hotel you stay in, your phone can make your this not to work. The key that has chips. Is INEC telling people how to store these cards? Well, is it possible the same thing could happen? Do you understand that?
These are issues that I'm sure we'll consider in the days ahead. That's all the time we have, actually. But at least we know one person's card that is valid in this.
Whose card is that?
In China's TV, Dari. It was checked with INEC card and it showed it was valid. So
it will be valid on the voting day. Don't deceive yourself. Even this show the Senate is putting up is the cards that are valid on the voting day that are valid cards.
All right, thank you for coming on. Ikeddy Isiguzo is the chairman, Editorial Board of Vanguard Newspapers. That's the show today. Thank you for watching. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
Well, my own card had better be valid. That's election day. Thank you. Maokwe Ogun.
Nam Neotagbe, please go out and collect your card so that you can test whether it's valid or not.
Bye-bye.